aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
WIKG, Mercersburg, Chambersburg, Greencastle, 92.1 The Goat, the Tri-State's home for sports and news.
Welcome to Monday's edition of Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie, all powered by Home Right Windows and Doors, the right choice, winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State. How was your weekend, buddy?
My weekend was great, busy, still getting a sugar rush from all of Reagan's candy that she got from trick-or-treating, and other than that, my weekend was rather uneventful.
Well,
we had pictures. We did do family pictures for the holidays.
You say it was uneventful, but you were at the grand opening of one of the Wise Markets on Saturday.
I was, the former Sunnyway Foods. That was a lot of fun. Jam-packed.
Absolutely.
There was not 5 seconds that went by where someone wasn't just walking in.
I think Tiny was probably excited because for 2 hours he's thinking, I get to go out in Greencastle, interact with the public, get to know our listeners, and then about halfway through, you hear this familiar. Halfway through the event, you hear a familiar voice.
Hi, buddy. And Katie did the equivalent of. We talked a couple weeks back. We had a representative from the Maryland State Police here, and I said, "How often do you hear someone when you walk into a place of business? They'll say, 'Oh, take them,' or I did it, or she did it, or whatever." And he said it's quite common. You did the equivalent of that to radio.
Go on.
Well, most times, when someone in radio walks up to someone else who's doing an event who's also in radio, you say, "Oh my God, are you
Tiny
blah, blah, blah.
from Are you Tiny from the Tiny and Katie show?
It is the go-to for anytime that type of interaction happens in public.
Well, I wanted to show off because I went to my dear friends at Roots Hair Design in Marion, where I go for anything skincare, hair care. But I got lashes over the weekend, which was something that was...
You didn't have lashes before?
Okay, so do you notice how long they are?
Okay.
You notice that they're longer. Like, you can definitely tell there's something different.
Eyelashes, my goodness. Okay, this is ridiculous. When you showed up the other day, I was looking at your eyebrows.
No, those are brows, not lashes.
Yeah, I wasn't
These are lashes right here. Do you notice how long they are?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's a newer thing that a lot of women are getting done.
What is it?
They're lashes that you connect to your existing lashes that extend them and make them longer, but the purpose is that you don't have to put on mascara, and a lot of girls will go without makeup because it kind of takes the place of it, because it is very distinct. Like, you can definitely tell there's something different, and I've been on the fence about it.
They glue these on?
It is a glue, yes, and it's waterproof, and once they're on, you really can't get them off, but your hair sheds, and so your hair sheds, your eyebrows shed, your
The ones that are
eyelashes.
attached to it are going to fall.
So eventually they will fall off. So you have to go like once a month and get, I guess it's called filler, and they go in and just reattach the ones that have fallen off. But my best friend Bridget has them, and she's had fake eyelashes for years now, and
This way.
and she loves them, absolutely loves them. And so
Interesting.
I really thought it looked really good, and that's what I came to show Tiny.
And apparently
I walked
wasn't
right
gonna-
up and I said, "Look, do you notice my lashes? You see how pretty I look?" And he's like, "I don't notice anything. You look the exact same as you did yesterday." So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I was
thank
looking at
you.
your eyebrows, so they, of course,
Well,
look exactly
no, these
the same.
are the exact same. And I got my hair done. I went a little darker for the fall time. So I really pampered myself at Roots Hair Design this weekend, which those girls are so great. We always have a great time. Let's talk about the weather. Sunny today, high 66, and cloudy tonight, low getting down around 50, but it's going to warm back up tomorrow, 76
Yeah.
and sunny. So,
I heard now through Thursday is supposed to be basically almost like early summer.
yep, and then dipping back into the 60s, but none of those really cool temperatures just yet. I did turn on my heat last night.
I hope once we're out of this week that this part of the year's over.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like, summer has lasted, like, okay, you had your chance. Now let's just move on.
You had your chance. Today is November 4th. You could call it Election Day Eve if you would like to.
And so when we do this a year from now, when you're looking back on this date in history as you're about to do, you'll be able to add one thing to it. Next year, you'll be able to say that it was a year ago that music legend Quincy Jones died.
I saw that.
Well,
Yes.
he died, I think it was yesterday.
I
but
did see
still,
that.
yeah.
I thought it was on Sunday.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, I did see that. But it is National Candy Day, which is odd because Halloween was like 5 days ago. But let's talk a little bit about candy by the numbers. 65%. That's the percentage of total candy produced that is consumed by Americans over the age of 18. 65%, the percent of U.S. candy brands introduced more than 50 years ago.
What percentage was that?
65.
Wow, okay.
36 million, that's the number of heart-shaped boxes of chocolate that are sold on Valentine's Day. 36
Wow.
million. I have not...
Do women look down on that particular thing? Don't get me wrong.
I haven't gotten a Valentine in years.
I know. So in your case, anything would be good. But let's just, for the sake of argument here, let's just say that you were with someone and they gave you the heart-shaped box of chocolates. Is that something that, because they just went to the local drugstore and pulled it off the shelf. What do you think? If it's not packaged with anything else, if it's just that.
I used to get those a lot when I was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
My kids would bring me those types of candies. Not because they're buying for so many
sure,
people.
yeah.
It would be the dollar ones that you would get at the store in bulk, and that's fine, and I love it. But I don't like that chocolate. I really don't. And so I wouldn't eat it, and
I get it.
eventually it goes bad, and you have to throw it away. So I'm all about, if the other person doesn't really want it, or they're maybe watching their weight, they're not eating sweets, then don't do it. Do something else.
That's like my mother was never and I'm the same way, she was never a flowers person, but my dad loved to get her flowers. And it was always this catch-22 because she just always felt they were a waste of money. They're going to die. And she's sometimes too pragmatic. And then my dad just, loved that was one of the things that he thought, like shower with affection. I wanted her to be, he would do all the time, but that was his go-to, was flowers. And she used to and she hates attention too, so she would get them delivered at work, and it was just this whole big thing. So here these moments that were supposed to be, that were done with the best of intentions by my dad, turned into suddenly he did something wrong he didn't know he did.
I know that some women say they don't like flowers, but I don't know how you cannot see a beautiful bouquet of flowers and not be happy inside.
You're happy because for a second you think they're for you.
Well, I did get some a couple of weeks
You
ago.
did?
One of
You
our
did?
lovely listeners sent me some flowers, but it had been a minute since
And
someone...
an edible arrangement too.
And yes, and it's been a while since I've gotten those little gifts, but man, they make you feel good. I don't
do
know how
brighten your
anyone
day.
does not feel happy getting flowers. Let's go back to 2.8 billion pounds. That's the number of chocolate consumed in the United States each year. 2.8 billion pounds. 22 pounds, the average amount of candy consumed by each American every year. 22 pounds.
That's probably about right.
22 pounds?
Not for me. I'm just saying it does add up quicker than you think.
I always eat 2 pieces of chocolate a day from Carol's Bowl, and probably over the course of the year. Because I think, just 2 pieces, they're real small, they're bite-sized, but they add up.
Yeah, they would.
2 ounces, this is interesting. The amount of milk chocolate that is poisonous for a 10-pound puppy, 2 ounces. So keep that in mind if you're doing any kind of baking and you have cookies out on the counter. Because that happened with my dog before.
And I guarantee you, dogs don't know.
They don't know.
They have no idea it's chocolate. They have no idea it's bad for them.
Yeah, they just know that it's food and they're going to try to get it. $7 billion, the amount spent on chocolate every year. And 25 pounds, the amount of candy eaten per person per year in the United States. So earlier that was chocolate. This is candy in general, 25 pounds. What is the most popular candy in the United States? I think we covered this before, but it's kind of a tie between, you know, one of them.
Oh, peanut butter cups?
Peanut butter cups and M&Ms.
Okay.
Tie between the two. And in Switzerland, the Swiss consume more chocolate than any other country in the world.
Well, it's good, too.
Swiss chocolate is unbelievable. I've been to Switzerland before. Was able to stop and get some. And my intentions were that I was going to divvy them out to all my friends and family.
Didn't make it.
Never happened.
Yeah.
We are on day 300.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. How was the price of chocolate over there?
I don't remember.
Must not have been that high, because you would have remembered if it was super expensive.
Well, Switzerland is expensive in general. It's one of the more expensive countries. I don't remember, to be honest with you. Average price, maybe? It doesn't stick out as being...
Yeah, I would think it would be either average or just below average, given that it's so much.
Sure.
Like down in Texas, gas is cheaper because they're so close to and produce so much of it. So you would think that, like in Switzerland, that's basically what they do. Then
yeah, I don't. Good question. Don't remember.
That and the cough drops they're just known for. So.
The cough drops.
Yeah.
We are now on day 309 out of 366, and we only have 57 days remaining in 2024. Is this a leap year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. That's why it threw me. And back on this day in 2008, someone was elected president. Mm-hmm. Who was it?
Barack Obama.
First African American to win the United States presidential election. Back on this day in 97, Shania Twain released her third album, Come On Over, and it won her the 1999 Billboard Album of the Year. What a phenomenal album.
I think that set the record for the most songs that were pushed as singles. It was
a great album. I mean,
incredible amount.
I grew up with that. I remember middle school, high school. Come On Over was the jam. And it was also back on this day in 1960, a chimpanzee was observed for the first time making and using tools. The discovery was made by...
I can't think of the name.
Dr. Jane...
Goodall.
Yes. And was the first proof of any other creature in existence using tools. So some things...
Even a chimpanzee can do it, Katie. You're not lost forever.
Not forever. We have a great show lined up today. We are going to talk to Front Porch Fitness. We're also going to check in with Carl David from Suicide Prevention and Dr. Nancy Fritz from Kidney Disease.
Those are both incredible. Those are some interviews. We're going to be speaking with them on the phone. And just when you hear the stories, and Mr. David wrote a wonderful book that we'll tell you all about here in just a few minutes. So I think that Dr. Fitch, that was an interesting interview because you would think well, this doesn't apply to me. You'd be surprised some of the markers that you might want to look for kidney disease prevention.
So kind of covering a lot of health today.
Yep.
We're going to take a look at the good word of the day, and it's all powered by Veritas Men's Health in Hagerstown. They have telehealth available, and you can find them online at veritasmenshealth.com.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Pastor Laura Kincaid of Messiah United Methodist Church in Shippensburg, and let me tell you, we've got some excitement at the church this weekend. We are celebrating our 100th anniversary. That's right, 100 years we've been here. Have you seen our beautiful historic building in downtown Shippensburg? Let me tell you, our stained glass windows will knock your socks off. But even as we celebrate this beautiful building, we know that the church isn't a building. The church is the people. Have you ever stopped to think what a miracle that is? I mean, there's this trend that I see in our culture today, a trend that is more and more anti-people, right? We don't trust other people. Other people make us uncomfortable, so we try to just keep to ourselves. And social media allows us to only connect to people that we like, only people that think just the way I do. We're being taught to be okay with saying, you know what, I like my dog better than I like people. Well, of course you do. Your dog or your cat or your goldfish, they're not going to challenge you. They're not going to argue with you about what TV show to watch, or there's no danger they're going to vote for the candidate you don't like. They're not going to make you really think about the things that you say. Your pets have no choice but to let you be in control. And that's why people are so great, because other people make me see things that I might not see on my own. They pull me out of myself. They make me learn the real work of peacemaking, of being kind, of working out our differences. Other people force me to be unselfish. So every time you see a church, it's not just a building with stained glass windows and a bunch of hypocritical people. No, what you see in a church is a miracle. A church is a miracle of flawed, selfish, opinionated human beings who somehow set aside their flawed, selfish opinions and work together to create a community of love and generosity and openness and devotion to God that welcomes all people. And this is something that's been passed down from generation to generation, in our case for over 100 years. That's a miracle. And so that's what we're celebrating this weekend. And if you're able to, please join us for our worship service. It will be at 9 a.m. at our beautiful church at 30 South Penn Street that's filled with beautiful people. We also have a free concert at 2 o'clock with all our very talented musicians. And there will also be childcare and activities for kids during that concert. Our services are also posted on YouTube and Facebook. But wherever you are and whatever you're going through, just know you are precious to God and you are precious to us. So we hope to see you here at Messiah United Methodist Church.
The new Wise markets are open and ready to go. They have reopened 2 former Sunnyway markets that it acquired in Franklin County. The first store is at 49 Warm Spring Road in Chambersburg, and then they also have another location, 212 North Antrim in Greencastle, officially reopened on Friday, November 1st. Some 100 former Sunnyway employees have been rehired at the new Wise locations, and Tiny was able to get out there on Saturday for the grand opening between 10 and noon, 9 and 11, I believe, actually. Yep. And I stopped by and I did a little shopping, and I was really impressed with the selection that they had. And also there's something that's this is going to sound silly, aesthetically appealing when everything is stocked. Oh, yeah. Like everything was stocked to the brim, and it just was nice to look at.
Which is surprising given how many people went in and out of there.
That place was packed from the second that they opened.
Yeah. And it was funny because I thought to myself, as long as I was there for those 2 hours, that I saw so many people come out and not many people, so many people go in and not too many come out. I thought to myself, is there any room to move in there?
Well, and I was really impressed with how quickly they kept the lines moving, because I did a little shopping and I thought the same thing. With the amount of cars, I'm going to wait in line forever, but I didn't. They kept me moving. And if you are looking to get some flowers for somebody, that's a great place to do it too. I was really impressed with their flower selection.
Wise Market always did and took great pride in everything, but especially flowers and bakery. Ooh. When I worked for Wise Markets back when I was in high school.
You worked in the bakery.
I worked in the bakery, yes, and right beside the bakery was the flowers. And the flower was a full-time position, person who was in charge of flowers, and they were always super busy and had some of the most beautiful flowers. It was always easy for me to get flowers for any occasion, and my dad would often ask me to pick up some for my former stepmother, and so it was just, okay, I'll grab them and get a nice arrangement, and they're affordable.
I was very impressed with their flower selection. Everything was great. I actually bought their brand seltzer waters because I drank seltzer waters like crazy, and I found my new favorite flavor. It was blackberry tangerine, Wise Market brand. It was fantastic. So I'm actually going after work today to go get more.
It's funny you say that. I saw a lady walk out with, it was a Wise Market brand white birch beer.
Ooh.
Diet.
Okay.
And
it's got your name all over it.
I'm like, I was going to ask her if I could just have a can because I just wanted to try it.
Well,
but I'm sure it's really good.
Definitely would have seen if she had a can-do attitude or not.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I wouldn't beer her without her. So.
All right,
Anyway,
what's going on?
2 new measures to help improve juvenile justice in Pennsylvania are now law, according to State Representative Paul Schemmel. The first requires a review of placement plans for detained youth every 3 months instead of 9. The second will allow juvenile offenders to seek an expungement of most misdemeanor crimes after 2 years instead of 5. Beauty of this is when you have things go on your record when you're young, they can carry over into adulthood. And it can cause you to not be able to get a job.
Change the trajectory of your life for sure.
Yeah, it can limit things. So this is a way to move on from that faster. You do the crime, do the time, and then move on from it and be able to have a normal life.
Now, before we take a look at sports, definitely want to thank our friends at 2A Arms LLC, 2A and PA Firearms and Freedom. Hey, Andy, what's going on with sports?
Here's your local sports roundup to start it off. Berkeley County football action between Spring Mills and Parkersburg South. Spring Mills shut out Parkersburg South 37-0, while Washington defeated Musselman 28-21 in the final minute of play over the weekend. Jefferson also beat Clarksburg 47-21. Jefferson will now host their focus to this coming Friday's matchup against cross-county rival, the Washington Patriots. The Cougars will host the Patriots, and kickoff is set for 7. In Franklin County sports and football action, Warwick played Shippensburg Friday night, and Shippensburg came out victorious, winning the district opener. They now advance to the quarterfinals. The two teams were evenly matched in terms of statistics, but Shippensburg got the upper hand on Friday night. Up next for Shippensburg is round 2 matchup at 10-0 Conestoga Valley on Friday, November 8th. That kickoff is at 7 p.m. In Washington County football action, according to the Herald Mail, Boonesboro beat Smithsburg 45-0 on Friday evening, and Clear Spring beat Hancock 50-0. Williamsport got a victory over Manchester Valley in a close one, in a low-scoring affair, 14-12. And on Saturday, the North Hagerstown-South Hagerstown football game was underway. North Hagerstown beat South Hagerstown 41-14. Also playing Saturday was St. James and Flint Hill. St. James getting the win 40-30. As for Washington County girls volleyball, the Maryland 1A West Region 1 semifinals were underway on Friday night. Clear Spring beat Northern Garrett 3-2. Clear Spring won by scores of 25-14, 29-27, and 15-5. In the Maryland 3A West Region 1 semifinals, North Hagerstown beat Tuscarora 3-0, winning by scores of 25-11, 25-14, and 25-15. More volleyball action this past weekend. On Saturday, November 2nd, the Maryland 1A West Region 2 semifinals saw Boonesboro go up against Smithsburg. Boonesboro came out the winner 3-2, winning by scores of 25-21, 25-15, and 15-13. Also in action on Saturday was Williamsport, taking on Walkersville in the Maryland 2A West Region 1 semifinals. Williamsport won that match 3-0. The next round of the playoffs for the Maryland 1A, 2A, and 3A West Region 1 and 2 finals, we'll see Clear Spring take on Fort Hill at 6, Boonesboro take on South Carroll at 6, and Middletown take on Williamsport at 6. Also playing on Wednesday night will be Linganore, traveling to North Hagerstown. That match starts at 6. The Washington County semifinals and championship flag football games will take place at Smithsburg. Boonesboro will take on the Clear Spring South Hagerstown winner at 5 p.m. on Wednesday evening. And Smithsburg will take on the winner of North Hagerstown, Williamsport, at 6:30. The championship game will take place at 8 p.m. And on Friday for flag football, November 8th, will be the Maryland State Tournament at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. We'll keep you posted on who will be traveling there. In the MPSSAA 3A state quarterfinals, North Hagerstown took on Mount Hebron. Number 8 ranked Mount Hebron came out the winner 3-2 against number 1 North Hagerstown on Saturday evening.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com.
The JR Sport Brief on the Infinity Sports Network.
Am I going to favor them to win the championship this year? The answer is no. That'll be the greatest miracle because this is the New York Jets. And unfortunately, what's most likely is that one day Aaron Rodgers packs his bags and says, I want to leave. The New York Jets don't have a coach, and the New York Jets are going to have to start from scratch and suck for many more years because another Green Bay Packers experiment quarterback screwed them. This is JR of the JR Sport Brief on 92.1 The GOAT.
Don't Don't be crabby. It's time for Johnny's Seafood Sale. Harvest tasty morsels from the sea like jumbo raw scallops, $13.95 a pound. Sail in and check out what's new, including panko breaded soft shell crab portions, 2 pounds, $32.95. 3-ounce classic crab cakes, 6 for $24.95. Try Phillips Chesapeake crab dip, 2 pounds for $16.95. And don't miss the new crab meat combo. Each 1 pound can contains 4 grades of crab meat: jumbo lump, special, and claw. It's a real taste sensation for just $21.95. And of course, Johnny's has shrimp. A 5-pound bag of medium 4150 count raw Gulf shrimp is $19.95. The 2-pound bag just $8.95. Remember, every Friday from 10 to 2, you can try before you buy in Chambersburg. Sweet seafood at Johnny's, where you always find restaurant quality foods at wholesale prices. Route 11 South Chambersburg and Johnny's Express Winchester Avenue in Martinsburg.
Everybody's athletic journey is different. Some athletes might find themselves injured and others are looking to get back into their favorite activity. At Meritus Sports Medicine, our expert team will support the unique needs of athletes of all ages and levels, from youth to professional. Conveniently located at the Valley Mall, our new facility boasts leading-edge technology and the compassionate local care everyone deserves. Our expert team will develop individual treatment plans guided by the needs and goals of each athlete. To learn more, visit meritushealth.com/sportsmedicine.
Due to continued growth, Chambersburg Waste Paper is hiring full-time CDL Class A flatbed drivers and Class B roll-off drivers. Drivers are home every night. Chambersburg Waste Paper offers full medical benefits, productivity and safety bonuses, paid time off, and matching 401k. Email your resume to recycle at cwprecycle.com or apply in person at 2047 Loop Road, Chambersburg. CWP, an equal opportunity employer. Drive for the dream.
Need to get airborne to finish your current project? Franklin Equipment Rental can help. Rent forklifts, scissor lifts, extended reach forklifts, telescopic booms, and more. With 25 years experience, they know what you need. Take advantage of their weekend special and get 2.5 days work for the price of one. Or rent by the day, week, or month. Open Monday through Friday, 3110 Philadelphia Avenue, Chambersburg. Online at franklinequipmentrental.com. Their job is to make your job easier.
Pennsylvania Voter Information Hotline. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm calling about these negative ads.
Which ones are you referring to?
The one accusing Bob Casey of wanting to make schools let men play in women's sports?
That's been fact-checked. It's not true. Bob Casey is against men playing in women's sports.
And the ad also says he wants to raise taxes on Social Security.
Well, Casey is chairman of the Senate Aging Committee. Actually, he's on record for lowering taxes on Social Security.
Boy, they really twist things, don't they? Well, what about McCormick on Social Security?
Well, McCormick has promised a large tax break for the top 1%. And our research shows you'd have to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for nursing homes to pay for it.
I guess I'm not voting for the guy from Connecticut.
That's up to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Have a good day.
I'm Bob Casey, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Bob Casey for Senate.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Joining us is Mr. Carl David. Hi, Mr. David. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. It is wonderful to have you today. Our overarching topic for today is suicide prevention advocacy. And Mr. David is very, unfortunately, all too familiar with this topic, and we're going to get into that as the interview unfolds. But let me first tell you that Mr. David is the author of Baderfield, and that's Bader, if you want to search this out. Baderfield, How My Family Survived Suicide. His website is carleddavid.com, and he'll obviously is going to tell you all about that. But Mr. David, before we get to some questions and delve into the suicide prevention advocacy part of your mission, if you would just kind of take us through your history, where you're from, and what you've done.
Sure. I'm actually from Philadelphia, even though right now we're spending a lot of our time in South Florida, having had a new granddaughter 4 months ago. But I am a third-generation fine art dealer. Our company's David Gallery in Philadelphia, and now we're also Provident Fine Art in Palm Beach. We specialize in American and European paintings, drawings, watercolors, and occasional sculpture from the 17th to the 21st century. So that's my main thoroughfare, if you will. It's been a passion all my life. I've been doing this for, 52 years. I hate to even fathom that number, but it's better than the alternative.
Right.
And I'm an avid supporter of law enforcement, having gone through several programs with the FBI and Homeland Security. And what else can I tell you? I love animals. I love people. And I'm a real patriotic American.
That's wonderful. We love that here on the line and in our area, which is South Central Pennsylvania. We certainly do, and I think that's the kind of the sentiment around the entire country. Everything that you just hit on. Our overarching topic today, as I said at the onset, is suicide prevention advocacy, and Carl is no stranger to this. It's one of those things that, of course, we wish that it could be completely wiped from all of humanity. But Carl, if you would take us through your personal experience and your journey with suicide that happened to you from a young age.
I was 16 years old, and I was in the auditorium of my high school, having just gotten there, and I had two older brothers, and my next older brother, who was our middle, didn't come home the night before, which was completely out of character, and there was a real feeling of malaise in the house. And I didn't want to go to school, and my parents said, no, you've got to go to school. So I went, and unbeknownst to me, I hear my name come out over the loudspeaker from the principal, who asked me to come up to the podium, which I did, and he said, you have to go home, there's been an emergency. Unfortunately, he didn't tell me what it was, and I had driven to school that day. I was 16, and I got home in about 6 minutes, and my older brother told me that Bruce was dead. And I almost, and this really kind of makes me emotional because it's hard to get through this, but
I understand.
I almost fell to the floor. My world went black in an instant. I had no idea. And that was the farthest concept from my mind, let alone my family's mind. I mean, we had never experienced anything like this. We were all close, happy, and this was completely out of character. So,
now let me, if I may interrupt, I'm sorry, Carl.
Sure.
So
no, go ahead.
At the point that you're describing now, all you know when you say your world went black and probably, I'm sure, just very almost like an out of body experience. At this point, all you knew was that your brother had passed away. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I knew in a few minutes after that my brother told me that he had actually hanged himself in our gallery up on the fourth floor. And again, I had this was just like so surreal that it didn't sink in. Mm-hmm. My mother was upstairs, had just gotten out of the hospital after having major surgery, and my father was the one who actually found him. He went to the gallery, and I can't even imagine that nightmare, but it wreaked havoc with my father's life. He only lived 8 years after that.
Would you think that, and I know this is going to seem like an obvious question, and that's kind of what we do on this program is, we want to cover the obvious questions and then delve a little deeper. But I know one never gets over something like that, but you often hear people say that time heals all wounds. And some people will say that's true, and some people will say that's completely the opposite. What is your take on that? Because, and I say this because you just got so emotional, and why wouldn't you, of something that happened to you at 16 years old, and so much time has passed by, and it still obviously really wears on you.
It does, and I will tell you that you don't ever get over it. You only learn to live with it as best you can. This becomes a battle scar in your psyche. It's an imprint that it's on your motherboard forever. Mm-hmm. And, there are triggers out there that when you hear about someone else taking their life, or you hear about another family that's gone through it, or someone, fortunately, who survived it and didn't succeed, it brings it right back to the forefront as if it were 1965 all over again. So you don't get over it. In fact, it took our family several different modalities of therapy to cope with it because we were not prepared for this. It took me a psychoanalysis of 4 years, which basically saved my life. My parents had clergy and friends who helped them to get through it as best they could, and my brother as well, who had a different kind of therapy. But this is a scar that goes so deep that even, as you mentioned, all these years later, it's there.
Mm-hmm. I think by the way, we're talking with Carl David, online, carledavid.com. He's the author of Baderfield, How My Family Survived Suicide. That's available through Nightingale Press. And today's topic is suicide prevention advocacy. And Mr. David just went into an in-depth story of his personal experience at 16 years old. Carl, I suppose this is a good thing because there are, most people, and I'm sure we'll get into some statistics later, but most people do not have a close personal experience with suicide. Probably most of us that are listening to this, our only exposure to that will be what we've seen on TV and in movies. But the one thing that seems to remain constant when you hear stories, and even if you did hear of a friend or something along those lines, the one thing that seems to be a common theme is the unknown of those that still remain. We didn't see any signs. This is completely inexplicable. From your personal experience, from your brother, was that one of the cases with your family's situation?
That was exactly the case. We had no forewarning, no signs, no telltale indications, absolutely nothing. This literally came out of left field, and it was, I guess, even more of a shock because of that. Had we seen something, we would have been able to intercede and hopefully have, intervened and taken the reins so that this wouldn't have happened. And my brother, if he had known the kind of pain that would have been inflicted on the rest of us, would never have done that. But I think that when someone is in that state of despair, the depth of their darkness and their whatever they can't see past and they can't see above it, that they don't think clearly, obviously, and they can't really circumvent or work through their feelings. I think they feel maybe something is hopeless, and we have no idea what it was. We thought at the time maybe it was Vietnam War. His unit was about to go to Vietnam, and all the media were portraying all the kids coming back in body bags with no limbs and, the horrors and the fog of war. But that's only a guess. We don't know if that's what it was. And we've never had anything but that question mark, which lingers.
What would you say to people who are listening? Because they may have a child who's in school, and obviously now with COVID and kids not being socialized like they typically are, I'm sure a lot of parents are just worried in general. As parents are just, I have a daughter now and she's about to turn 1, and I worry about her 24/7. So worrying as a parent is not a foreign concept. But they're all that you hear these things. You're like, well, I don't want my child to succumb to that. What do you feel in your studies and your research and in the last over 50 years? What is it that you would say to parents who are saying to you, well, Mr. David, what should I look for?
I think that there has to be an open communication, and kids have to know that they'll be the parents will be there for them without judgment, no matter what. And if they see them going down a dark path or doing drugs or hanging out with the wrong crowd, they've got to sit down and talk to them and say, listen, this is a dangerous path you're going down. We understand. Let's talk about this. And maybe get them some help if they need it, if they look like they're going astray and they feel hopeless. But I think communication is critical. This is something that I've been doing ever since the book came out at the end of 2008. And, doing television, journal, and radio interviews to raise awareness to the scourge of suicide, which when I was going through this when I was 16, people looked the other way. They didn't talk about it. This was like this dirty secret. Hey, he's the kid whose brother killed himself. That's what I would feel when I was back in high school and I was able to go back to school. I felt like I was the one who was being judged. And no one should ever judge anybody, 1, for taking their life, or 2, for talking about it, or 3, for even thinking about it, because that's an immediate button that will push someone over the edge, and they don't deserve that. It's not something that they should be criticized for. It's something that should be spoken about, that should be open communication. I think it's something that should be taught in schools, suicide awareness, because a lot of these kids hold stuff in.
Well, what would you say to, say, a family who, for instance, your family, and you've told us enough that we could draw this conclusion that you did, if there were warning signs, you didn't see them. If there were any triggers, you didn't know about them. So what would you say to parents or siblings of someone, or even close friends, who are dealing with this, but yet, and I'm sure this is the case, so correct me if I'm wrong first before we move on, those who are left behind often, I'm sure, feel immense guilt. Is that correct?
That is correct. Absolutely. It's the first thing you feel.
So then what would you say, because I think that you could agree that as long as signs were not ignored, you could say that guilt may not be the emotion that may be misplaced, correct?
That is correct. I think it's a survivor's guilt, and you feel like I should have seen something that I didn't see. I mean, look, we're all human, so there's just so much that we can see and be perceptive about, which is important, but you can't take responsibility for someone else's life. For instance, if someone is going to start giving things away and dropping out of their social interests and becoming reclusive and talking about killing themselves, then you got to step in, and because then those are overt signs that really need attention, and that's not something you can ignore. The worst you can do is make someone feel self-conscious or embarrassed when they say, I really didn't mean it. I was just saying it because I was angry or whatever. Well, you don't know. So it's better to say something and do something if you see something than to just ignore it, and then you have to live with the guilt. But normally guilt is not something that you have to own, because it's not appropriate. These are things that people do that you can't always control. I see it in law enforcement when cops will take their own life, and I feel horrible about that. Mm-hmm. And that may be the fault of some of the agencies that just don't have the wherewithal or the ability to sit down and have group therapy, even, and have guys talk about what the fog of war is, the PTSD that they're suffering, and open up. Feelings are not just for women; they're for everybody. Right. And when we were growing up, it was like, men don't feel their feelings, not supposed to show them. Well, that's garbage. I mean, that causes a lot of problems.
We're talking with Carl David, online, carledavid.com, author of Bader Field, How My Family Survived Suicide. And Carl, I think we should end with this question. So we've talked about some of the signs to look for, and being willing to talk and having open dialogue, and knowing that your children or whomever it is that you think may be experiencing thoughts of suicide, that they feel that they have an audience with you and a shoulder to cry on and merely somebody to listen. It's so very important. Just in general life, even if you don't think suicide is on the table, just to be able to listen to someone can help more than I think any of us would be able to comprehend. But Carl, how did you? I know we said before, you don't get over it, you cope, you deal. But what would you say to people who are currently dealing with this, who are having a difficult time processing what has happened? It's fresh, it's raw, and even if it's a long way, even if it's, say, 5-10 years ago, it is still very there, as it is apparent with your situation. What are some things that helped you to overcome, or at the very least survive with these feelings?
Professional help. I mean, suicide is the kind of death that is just so powerful and so inconceivable, if you will. It is not natural. And this is something that, if a family's going through this, or have lost a loved one or a friend or someone important to them in their lives, they should really talk to someone. And I've told people who have had this experience, because I know I'm not the only one. I mean, there's unfortunately close to 50,000 people a year just here in America that take their life. Mm-hmm. And it's probably more now with the lockdowns and everything else, with kids being so isolated. But talking to someone in clergy, talking to a bartender, talking to another family member or friends, anything, just to communicate and get it out. There are helplines today. There's online therapy. There's all kinds of places you can call and say, hey, look, I just lost someone to suicide. Who can I talk to? or if someone's feeling that they're desolate and they're going to commit suicide, there are suicide helplines where they can call and be listened to without judgment. And not, this sounds inconceivable, but sometimes after talking someone down for 10 minutes, they've changed their mind. They realize that there is hope, they're not alone, and they're loved.
Right. Mr. David, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedule to talk to us on the line today. It's been eye-opening. It's something that I think we might think we know about it, but in reality, we really have no idea until you're there. And you certainly, the point of you being here is to keep as many people from being there as possible on both ends, because help is there. You don't have to have a degree to quote-unquote talk someone off a ledge. And you've been great here with us, Mr. David. I would like for you to take this opportunity, if you would, to let everyone know, if you'd like for them to reach out to you, how they would do that.
Sure. The best way is through my email, because my website's down at the moment. We're rebuilding it. It's Carl E. David. It's CarleEDavid, one word, @gmail.com. I have made this a mission in my life to take the darkest days of my life and do something to benefit others with them. And I may never know, but I've been doing this for so long, it's just something I feel I have to do, or I've wasted an opportunity to maybe save a life. I feel like Schindler. Maybe I could have saved one more. So this is a real passion for me, and hopefully I save someone from taking their life, making them choose to live rather than die, or I help a family who's gone through it and having trouble dealing with it, because it is just not easy.
Well, Mr. David, I pray that you have many more years of helping people, and like you said, you may never know, but I'm confident in saying that you've helped people, I'm sure, and hopefully you'll help many, many more. The book is called Bader Field, How My Family Survived Suicide, available through Nightingale Press. Many outlets where you can get that, so just do a Google search and you should be able to find that. Mr. David, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Appreciate it being able to be on with you.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I feel the same way that I felt yesterday. I feel like this was a game that the Cowboys should have won.
They did.
They did. I didn't think they were spectacular, but that's okay. You don't have to do style points. This isn't college. We're not trying to impress the BCS. This was good for them to get away with a win, and I still have them not making the playoffs this year. Hey, this is Maggie Gray on 92.1 The GOAT, the Tri-State home for local sports and news.
Are you currently medically uninsured? Uninsured citizens are healthier and more productive through free access to health care. Are you currently a citizen of Washington County, Maryland?
Hi, I'm Nicole, Executive Director of the Community Free Clinic. We can help those in need of physical or mental health care, including prescription medicine and lab services. Services are not based on income. Most services are free to qualifying patients. Are you currently medically uninsured? If you need physical or mental health care, learn if you qualify at mycommunityfreeclinic.org.
Join us Saturday, November 23rd for the 39th Annual Greencastle Christmas Parade, presented by Verstandig Media and Antrim Way Honda. Get into the holiday spirit and help welcome Santa Claus to town. The Christmas Parade starts at 9:21 a.m. Be sure you're curbside to watch for Santa and all his jolly helpers. The 39th Annual Greencastle Christmas Parade is brought to you by Kevin's Cards, Buchanan Trail Tire and Auto, and Chris's Plumbing.
Real quick, raise your hand if you want to lose an additional 4 bands a year. Go ahead and put your hands up. Put your hands up. You voted for Kamala Harris. Oh, okay. My fault. Good, because I don't think people understand that voting for Trump means you will lose an additional $4,000 to $5,000 a year. If Trump is elected, he plans to add a 60% tariff on all imports from China. Anything in your house that says made in China, take the price that you paid for and add 60%. He plans to add a 20% tariff on all imports coming from every other country. With Kamala Harris's opportunity economy, she's not hitting you with the sales tax of doom. She's providing tax cuts to the middle and working class, so that means you will save an additional $4,000 to $5,000 a year. Plus the $25,000 she's literally handing to new homebuyers. Like, you know who to vote for in this November's election. It's Kamala Harris. Paid for by FFPAC, ffpac.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FFPAC is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
It's football season, and there's no better place to catch the game than Legends Bar in Chambersburg, the hottest spot in town. Located on Hollywell Avenue, they've got everything you need to make game day unforgettable. With ice-cold beer, delicious bites, and all major sporting events streamed live, you're covered. And the best part, also food and drink specials like burgers and draft specials on Mondays, or empanadas and margarita specials on Tuesdays. Plus, enjoy free pool tables every Wednesday and Sunday. So come on down to Legends Bar, the hottest bar in Chambersburg.
When you and your loved one need extra support for a very serious illness, there's just one call to make: to Hospice of Washington County.
They provided a team of professionals to meet our loved ones and our family's needs.
They allowed me to be my mother's daughter again and to spend special time with her. I knew I had help just a phone call away.
They were there in our home with help and medical equipment exactly when we needed them.
When your loved one needs extra support for a serious illness, there's just one call to make: to Hospice of Washington County. Hospice care is a fully covered Medicare and Medicaid benefit, and no one is ever turned away for an inability to pay. Hospice of Washington County cares for the whole family. Call 301-791-6360. That's 301-791-6360. Or visit hospiceofwc.org.
We're speaking with Josh Dahl, certified nurse practitioner and owner of Virtus Men's Health in Hagerstown.
We are a full-service men's clinic that take care of pretty much any issue that a man may have related to erectile issues, low testosterone, weight gain and or loss, and just trying to be as optimal as they can throughout their life. And we can certainly provide those services and give the guys the edge to still be active and live that full, healthy lifestyle and continue to do the things that they like to do.
At what age do you say, well, you could seek help with Virtus Men's Health?
I would say the majority of the clients we're going to service are probably going to be between the age of 35 and 70.
Josh Dahl, certified nurse practitioner and owner of Virtus Men's Health, Morgans Avenue in Hagerstown. Online, virtusmenshealth.com. Josh, what do you say to the guy who might find these topics embarrassing?
We're happy to be able to talk to you about that and really give you a detailed explanation and be that person that can relate to your problems and really help move you forward in a good, positive direction.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tristate with Tiny and Katie.
Those burn bans, they remain in effect throughout the region. Crews from several departments battled woodland and brush locations in Franklin County over the weekend. Thankfully, no home evacuations were needed, no structures have been threatened, but there were quite a few of those brush fires and woodland fires. The dry conditions and low humidity are thought to blame, fire officials said, urging caution. Fines will be imposed for ignoring local burn bans, and we did talk about this last week. Also, keep in mind if you are a smoker, to dispose of the butts properly and not just out the window. You know, that's how, unfortunately, some of these things start. So just be responsible.
It amazes me that people still do that. Still don't dispose of them properly. I mean,
it's A, littering, and B, that's how a lot of fire starts.
You would think it would be. Look, if you want to smoke, it's your right to do that. But you would think that after all this time, all this education is, okay, well, I'm just not going to, even if there were not a burn ban in effect, or if we weren't at high risk of these burns or red flag warnings, as they call them, why would, I still don't understand why you would do it.
Just keep some kind of can or bottle of water or something in there that you can just throw them in and then dispose of properly.
Well, think about it this way. If it were the middle of summer, as dry as we just had one, and you were standing on your back porch smoking,
would you just throw it in the back?
Would you throw it in your yard? No. Why? Because you'd be afraid a fire would start. Well,
it's the same.
Your yard's not much different than what's on the side of the road.
Right. You know, it's so funny. I know you're getting ready to talk about the Museum of Fine Arts, and we've been talking about them a lot lately.
Yeah, we have. The Fine Arts Museum of Washington County seeking for entries for its 2025 Cumberland Valley Photographers Exhibition. Entries are accepted now through the 29th of this month at 3 p.m. That's very specific. Entries can be submitted through their online portal. You can find that at client.smarterentry.com/WCMFA. That's Washington County Museum of Fine Arts. And if you visit their website, you'll see all these links.
Maybe just Google that one.
Yes. The exhibition will be on display April 5th through July 27th. It's an annual tradition dating back to the 1930s. It's the Cumberland Valley Photographers Exhibition. It showcases and celebrates and supports photographers of the Cumberland Valley region. Photographers from Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia may enter the competition. A first-place jurors award will be named and will receive $1,000 in cash. All photographs must have been completed in the last 2 years. I wonder how they prove that. That's interesting.
Maybe there's some kind of mark on the
like
photo.
A date stamp, maybe?
Maybe some kind of mark that shows, that proves it.
Well, if you are a photographer, you can submit up to 4 pieces.
I always am blown away by people who could do photography, who just have that ability to capture a moment or know how to make it look better. That is not something I excel at. However, on my phone, if you go to portrait mode and do second bubble, that produces some nice photos. That's as far as I've gotten with my photography skills.
It can, and there are some times where people will post something on Facebook or social media, and especially Instagram, I know it's notorious for this, and it will obviously fool me. I'm sure there are several photographers that I know that you couldn't fool them, but me, if they said a photographer took that, I probably would believe it.
It's kind of unbelieving what your phones can do in that capacity, but this is pretty cool, and I love that we're again talking about the Museum of Fine Arts. I just feel like we've been shining a lot of light on them recently, which is great.
What I would love is to be able to see some of the photos from the 30s that they got when this first started. That'd be fun to look back through those.
We'll see what we can find.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look at sports with Andy.
The college football action was hot over the weekend, and kicking it all off on Friday was number 15 ranked Boise State taking on San Diego State. Boise State ended up winning against San Diego State 56-24. Number 1 ranked Oregon took on Michigan, beating them 38-17, while number 2 ranked Georgia beat Florida 34-20. The big game of the weekend between number 4 Ohio State and number 3 Penn State saw Ohio State come out the winner 20-13 in Happy Valley, getting them a big win on the season. And number 5 Miami beat Duke 53-31. Also on Saturday, the number 7 Tennessee Volunteers took down the Kentucky Wildcats 28-18, and the South Carolina Gamecocks beat number 10 Texas A&M 44-20. Number 11, Iowa State fell to unranked Texas Tech 23-22 in a close one. And number 11, Clemson also fell to Louisville, also unranked 33-21. Number 13, Indiana beat Michigan State 47-10. And number 17, Kansas State fell to unranked Houston 24-19. Number 20, SMU got the victory over number 18 ranked Pittsburgh 48-25. And number 19, Ole Miss beat Arkansas 63-31. Number 21, Army beat Air Force 20-3. And number 24, Illinois fell to Minnesota 25-17. The Philadelphia 76ers fell to the Grizzlies on Saturday night 124-107. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 27 points with 6 rebounds and 3 steals, while Tyrese Maxey had 23 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. The Washington Wizards were defeated by the Miami Heat 118-98 on Saturday. Bam Adebayo had 32 points with 14 rebounds, recording a double-double on the night for him, while Coulibaly had 22 points and 8 rebounds for the Washington Wizards. Last night in NBA action, the Detroit Pistons beat the Brooklyn Nets 106-92. The Atlanta Hawks took down the New Orleans Pelicans 126-111, and the Orlando Magic fell to the Dallas Mavericks 108-85. Franz Wagner had 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on the night for the Magic, while Luka Doncic had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for the Mavericks. Here are your games to watch tonight for the NBA. The undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers will take on the tough Milwaukee Bucks, even though the Bucks are 1-5. Giannis Antetokounmpo could lead his team to another victory over an undefeated Cavs team led by Donovan Mitchell. That game starts at 7 o'clock. Your Washington Wizards will take on the Golden State Warriors. That game starts at 7:15. LeBron James and his son Bronny James of the Los Angeles Lakers will take on the Detroit Pistons at 7:30. The Boston Celtics will go up against the Atlanta Hawks. Can Jason Tatum beat Trae Young's Atlanta Hawks tonight? That game's at 7:45. And the Ja Morant-led Grizzlies will take on the Brooklyn Nets at 8 o'clock. The Philadelphia 76ers have a late game tonight against the Phoenix Suns. Tyrese Maxey leads this team in points per game with 29.8, while Devin Booker leads in points for the Suns on the team with 26.7. That game starts at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, and also in late action for the NBA are the San Antonio Spurs going up against the Los Angeles Clippers. Victor Wembanyama has 18 points per game with 9.8 rebounds per game, as James Harden is leading the Clippers in scoring with 21.8 points per game and 8.8 rebounds per game. 2 games to watch tonight in the NHL. The Los Angeles Kings take on the Nashville Predators, and the New Jersey Devils will battle the Edmonton Oilers.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I feel the same way that I felt yesterday. I feel like this was a game that the Cowboys should have won.
They did.
They did. I didn't think they were spectacular, but that's okay. You don't have to do style points. This isn't college. We're not trying to impress the BCS. This was good for them to get away with a win. And I still have them not making the playoffs this year. Hey, this is Maggie Gray on 92.1 The GOAT, the Tri-State home for local sports and news.
Looking for a renewable, clean-burning, and cost-stable home heating alternative? Use Somerset Premium Wood Pellets, available at Knitter House Hardware. Somerset Premium Wood Pellets are 100% hardwood, clean-burning, and low ash. Available in 40-pound bags or by the ton. Stop by and ask about delivery options. Somerset Premium Wood Pellets are already helping to warm over 1 million homes in the U.S. Will your home be next? Knitter House Hardware, Chambersburg's neighborhood hardware store just off Wayne Avenue.
Lizzie's Restaurant on Buchanan Trail West is open 7 days a week for takeout and dine-in service. Get your taste buds ready because their caramel apple sundae is back. Vanilla soft serve with 2 fried apple pie pieces, topped with caramel sauce, cinnamon-infused whipped cream, and a cherry, of course. Yum. Open 7 days a week for dine-in, takeout, and local delivery. Be sure to follow Lizzie's on Facebook for the latest info and specials. Lizzie's, the way you like it.
It's the perfect blend of modern living and timeless elegance. DRB Homes Loft at Creekside in the heart of Winchester. DRB Homes' premier uptown 2-floor plan offers spaces thoughtfully designed for your lifestyle, along with options including a 4th-floor loft and terrace. Your premier lifestyle begins with the tranquility and amenities of the lofts at Creekside, just minutes from downtown, surrounded by natural beauty and moments away from shopping and dining. To find your dream home at the lofts at Creekside, visit drbhomes.com.
27 years in politics has changed Bob Casey. He's just not the same anymore. In Washington, Bob Casey voted to let biological men compete against our girls in their sports. And Casey introduced a bill to force hospitals to perform sex change operations against their beliefs. Letting men compete against our daughters? Forcing hospitals to perform sex changes? It's just not normal. But that's how liberal Casey is these days. Casey also voted for higher taxes on seniors' Social Security benefits, too. Casey even voted for a bill that could raise out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors. Higher taxes on Social Security? Raising drug costs for seniors? Come on, Casey. It's just not right. Bob Casey's gone way too liberal for Pennsylvania. After 27 years, we need a change. It's time to fire Bob Casey. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. SenateLeadershipFund.org.
Hi, this is Ann from the Butcher Shop, Big O Cafe, and the Grant Street Loft venue in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. As a business, we prioritize fresh, quality foods, family values, and the best that our local community has to offer. That's why our company's slogan is Fresh, Family, Local. Come visit us at the Butcher Shop and Big O Cafe, 410 Stauffer Avenue in Chambersburg, or schedule a tour at our multi-level, fully catered wedding and event venue by visiting grantstreetloft.com. We look forward to serving you.
Join us Saturday, November 23rd for the 39th Annual Greencastle Christmas Parade, presented by Verstandig Media and Antrim Way Honda. Get into the holiday spirit and help welcome Santa Claus to town. The Christmas Parade starts at 9:21 a.m. Be sure you're curbside to watch for Santa and all his jolly helpers. The 39th Annual Greencastle Christmas Parade is brought to you by John Allison Public House, Lumber Direct, Tulpehocken Springwater, Greencastle Lube Center, and Alternative Choices.
Kamala Harris gets that everyday costs are too high. She has real plans to tackle price gouging, cut taxes for middle-class families, and make life more affordable. Her opponent's plan?
Donald Trump plans to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax. On everyday products, it will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. When everyday prices are too high, he will make them even higher.
Kamala Harris, A better plan for lowering costs for a future we can afford. Paid for by FFPAC, ffpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FFPAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Joining us now, we have Dr. Nancy Fitch. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you, Tiny?
Doing great. Dr. Fitch is a physician with MedExpress Urgent Care, which is part of Optum, and we are discussing today 1 in 3 people may be at risk for kidney disease. Hopefully, it is not you. If it is, we're going to break into how you can prevent it, how it can be diagnosed, and if you have it, how it can be treated. Dr. Fitch, before we begin with questions and talking about kidney disease, if you would take us into your history, what you've done in the past, and how you got to your area of expertise.
So I am an emergency physician by trade. I practiced in the emergency department for 18 years. So critical care and high-intensity, stressful situations are my thing, so to speak. I moved on to urgent care 10 years ago, started with MedExpress at that time, and I'm now an area medical director, as well as still doing clinical time for MedExpress, which is a division of Optum. So I manage about 10 urgent cares in the eastern part of Pennsylvania. So it keeps me a little on the busy side.
Yes, certainly, and our wonderful listeners are certainly familiar with the MedExpress brand, so to speak. So we're very thankful to have an expert such as yourself who works so close to home with us, talking about this topic today. Our topic today is 1 in 3 people may be at risk of kidney disease. So, doctor, before we break into the specific questions that I have here for you, can you give us a general overview of kidney disease? I'm assuming, am I correct in assuming that there are various forms and stages of kidney disease?
Absolutely. I think the biggest point to drive home is that the initial stages of kidney disease are very much asymptomatic, and that makes it very important to maintain a close relationship with your physician so that you can diagnose it in its early stages to help prevent worsening of your disease. That's probably the most difficult part about it.
When you say asymptomatic, you are saying that you probably wouldn't know that you have it just at first blush. I'm assuming it does not present with pain or any type of swelling or anything like that. Is that correct?
That's correct. So asymptomatic means no symptoms at all. So, you don't know you have it. You're not going to experience any of the typical symptoms that you would see with end-stage kidney disease. So the asymptomatic part means no symptoms at all, which makes it very difficult for you to even know you have it unless you are getting the routine screening test with your physician.
And that's what was going to be my next question is the routine screening, because there may be some folks who are listening who say, well, if I don't know I have something, by the time that I feel that I have it or am exhibiting symptoms, then it sounds like it may be worst case scenario. It may be too late. And I'm assuming it may be like cancer with early detection. Earlier you detect it, better and easier it is to treat, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about those screenings, because I think a lot of us go to the doctors or visit our specialists far too infrequently, and in some cases that's good because we maybe don't have to. In other cases, sometimes, and I'm going to just speak generally because we all either are or know this person who's just hard-headed and I don't need to go to the doctors, because when they think of a test, our minds harken back to when we were younger and they seem invasive. But things have really, it almost seems like every time I go to the doctor, which I'm very, very good about, having the routine blood work and things of that nature. But doctor, I'm going to be honest with you. It seems as if, every year there is some advancement that has made testing far less intrusive.
Oh, absolutely. The thing with kidney disease is, let's be realistic. The kidneys make urine. So every time you walk into that doctor's office and they hand you that urine cup and tell you, go into the bathroom, please, that's one of the easiest and non-invasive tests that can give a clue that you might be having problems with your kidneys. So something as simple as just peeing in a cup can give us some information that can tip us off that there might be a problem, that we need to go a little bit further into those tests that everybody worries about. But some of the tests for kidney disease are very simple, like you said, your routine blood work on a yearly basis will tip you off that there could be a problem with the kidneys. and then you would move forward from there. But even then, an ultrasound of the kidneys is not invasive or painful at all. But it's a matter of identifying things early so that you don't have to have anything invasive done.
Joining us today is Dr. Nancy Fitch. She is a physician with MedExpress Urgent Care in the eastern part of Pennsylvania, part of Optum. We're talking today about kidney disease. 1 in 3 people may be at risk of kidney disease. Doctor, are there factors, and we've talked about the screenings, it's just merely a matter of go to your doctor, they will, do the routine work and maybe have you pee in a cup or whatever the case may be, and you'll know what you know when you know it. When it comes to treatment for these conditions, what are we looking at? Because I think when you talk about kidneys, I know at least for me, and being perfectly honest, when I think of treatment for kidneys, my mind goes instantly to dialysis. But I don't think that that's always going to be the case.
No, dialysis is obviously for that end-stage disease where that the kidneys have failed. They are totally down and out. So the goal then is to otherwise identify those diseases or illnesses that are putting a strain on the kidneys, causing them to overwork and then lead to the failure. So that's where the routine screening is important. So some of the risk factors for diabetes, if you identify them early enough, then you can manage them, which then in part trickles down to giving you the chance to keep those kidneys healthy. So it's identifying your risk factors that are very, very important.
So there are 3 things I'm going to throw into one question, Doctor, and I will certainly repeat them if you need me to, but I'd like for you to, if they're relevant, delve into each one of these. Things that we could do to maybe prevent acquiring kidney disease, or things that we maybe can't help. And I'll throw these 3 out. Diet, environment, genetics. Do all of those 3 play into our kidneys, or do a few of them? How does that work?
Absolutely. So diet, let's go to that one. That one's the easiest. So maintaining a healthy diet, keeping your weight in a normal range, keeping your BMI normal, a low-salt, low-fat diet, as those all help. All those other disease factors can be very helpful to help prevent kidney disease. As far as the genetics, there's not too much you can do for the genetics. So there are certain things.
But it can be a factor. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think probably one of the biggest things is there's a higher incidence of kidney disease in certain ethnic groups. So again, you can't control your ethnicity. So, those that are at higher risk would be your African Americans, your Asian Americans, Native Americans, and Latinos. It's a variety of factors, but they're known to have higher rates of some of the conditions that can lead to kidney disease, as well as other things. But the biggest ones, diabetes and hypertension, are 2 of the leading causes of kidney disease. Then you add in there your cardiovascular diseases, and then your family history also. So if you have a genetic predisposition in your family for kidney disease, it puts you at a higher risk of having kidney disease. So maintaining a good hemoglobin A1C that goes along with monitoring your diabetes, keeping your diabetes under control, keeping your blood pressure under control are 2 big things that you need to do to help control your risks for kidney disease.
You brought up hypertension, high blood pressure, as most of us have called it our entire lives. But I want to. This is kind of a chicken and the egg thing, but I do feel the need to ask this: is it high blood pressure that can cause or lead to kidney disease, or is it the kidney disease that may lead to hypertension/high blood pressure?
A little bit of both, really.
Okay.
So the kidneys work. They're the big filtration system of the body. They are filled with tons of blood vessels. So if you have high blood pressure, those kidneys have to work harder to overcome those pressures to filter out all the impurities in your bloodstream that then gets excreted into the urine that you then void out when you urinate. So by having a high blood pressure, it's putting extra strain on the kidneys. Diabetes does the same thing. It very much has effect on blood vessels. We know that with people who have diabetes end up with coronary heart disease, they end up with problems with their eyes, they end up with problems with circulation to their legs. So the diabetes also affects the circulation, which then in turn affects the kidneys. Same way cardiovascular disease can cause that too. With the hardening of the arteries, it affects the blood vessels, and the kidneys are such a big conglomeration of blood vessels that's with that. Now, when those blood vessels start to become damaged, your blood pressure shoots up. So controlling blood pressure in people with kidney disease can also be very much a challenge.
We're talking with Dr. Nancy Fitch, a physician with MedExpress Urgent Care in the eastern part of Pennsylvania, part of Optum. Today we're speaking about the risk of kidney disease. 1 in 3 people may be at risk, and Dr. Fitch has been giving us some amazing, wonderful information because now the one thing that I did not touch on, Doctor, when I asked about diet, environment, and genetics is a lot of people, and I have been there, maybe you have as well, but I would say by and large, a lot of our listening audience has been of the mindset I'm about to describe is I'm young and I don't need to go to the doctor. I'm fine. It is that youth mentality. And in some cases, I understand there's credence to that. I get it. We typically are in better shape and better overall health when we are younger. But does that mean that we are less likely to develop kidney disease when we are younger? And maybe we are, but does that mean we should not be concerned about those things, such as our diet and all of that? Because I know it'll affect us later.
Correct. So it is a cumulative effect, but young people do get kidney disease. You know, they can get it, and it's a matter of being in tune to the symptoms, being in tune to something's not right, and not just blowing them off, as a lot of us when we're younger tend to do. You know, as we get older, especially those over the age of 60, the function of the kidney naturally decreases. You've got vessels that have been working hard for 60 years of your life. So, you know, maintaining, again, the moderation and everything, which goes along for just about every disease known to man, maintaining that healthy lifestyle is going to benefit you down the road, regardless of the diseases. And kidneys are no different. You know, you maintain a good, healthy lifestyle, the effects on the kidneys will be lessened compared to someone who beats their body up when they're in their 30s and 20s and they are, you know, immune to everything. They're not going to get, I can't get that. You know, they're going to have a higher risk of having issues down the road. So,
take us through, Doctor. You talked about if they are exhibiting symptoms. We hope that these things are caught early. We hope that you will go by hearing this interview and discussion between myself and Dr. Fitch. We hope that this will perhaps inspire you or some folks to take those steps to just make sure, just get the routine lab work and pee in a cup, as Dr. Fitch said earlier, and just get it done and have that peace of mind. But there may be some folks out there who are experiencing symptoms that may not know that they are related to potential or, in fact, kidney disease. So, Doctor, if you could take us through what some of those symptoms are.
So, probably one of the more subtle symptoms that is also seen in so many diseases is if you're more tired, fatigued, trouble concentrating, especially now during the pandemic with all of the mental stress that's been going on. I think a lot of us feel this way. And part of it's okay if you can justify it and say, okay, I'm good. But if you're really overwhelmingly exhausted and no energy and can't concentrate, then, you know, that is one of the symptoms of kidney disease, which, again, that's symptoms of just about every disease known to man as well. So it's one of those things that a lot of people might blow off, especially early on. Trouble sleeping. Again, we're in the pandemic. People are stressed out. People are anxious, so might not be sleeping quite as well. But again, that is also could be a sign of a problem with the kidneys. You're not quite filtering the blood well enough and can make it difficult to sleep. Dry, itchy skin. Summertime's not quite as bad for dry, itchy skin, but in the wintertime, some of us get skin like alligators, and the skin's itchy at night anyway, or itchy all the time. So another symptom that could be seem very innocuous, but when you combine everything together, then you start getting into the more common, the more the more symptoms that seem to be pointing towards kidney disease. You seem to be urinating more often. So you feel like you have to go more often, especially at night. That can also be a sign of diabetes. So you're drinking a lot, you're peeing a lot, especially if you're peeing more than you would expect to with the amount of intake you've had. Blood in your urine, I think most people would get freaked out by that and would then seek help when they start seeing blood in the urine. So usually the kidneys are trying to keep the blood cells in the body when it's filtering. So when blood leaks out, but that's also, sometimes it's not gross blood. Sometimes it's microscopic blood in the urine. You might not see it. It's only seen when you do that dipstick. So that's where that peeing in the cup can be very helpful. If the urine gets foamy, if you get bubbles in the urine that you can't seem to get rid of, even if you have to flush several times, that's the extra protein that's being leaked out by the kidneys so that it's not staying in the blood vessels where it belongs. It's the blood vessels in the kidney are getting leaky, so that protein is leaking out into the urine. So that can be a sign, and that's getting further on into the stages of the kidney disease itself. Then you start getting puffiness around your eyes, and that's an early sign that the kidneys are not filtering right. And again, that has to do with the protein not staying where it belongs and allowing fluid to leak out through these holes in the blood vessels. Then you get into ankles and feet swollen. When we start seeing that, we really start worrying about problems with the heart or problems with the kidneys. So that's where quick blood tests can check that out to see if the kidney function is normal. And then you start getting problems with muscles cramping, and that's electrolyte imbalance because the kidneys are not filtering right. So electrolytes are being lost in the urine that shouldn't be lost. They should be kept within the blood vessels. So, low calcium, phosphorus, you get potassium deficiencies, all kinds of different things. And potassium can go up in kidney function. That can cause kidney disease. That can cause issues. So the electrolytes being messed up can cause a lot of the symptoms that are more as we're getting further down into the stages of the disease. But some of the early symptoms can be very nebulous and difficult to really pinpoint and saying, oh, this is kidney disease. They can be, but they should hopefully trigger you to go and get checked.
We're talking today. This has just been one of the most amazing conversations. Dr. Nancy Fitch, she's a physician with MedExpress Urgent Care, part of Optum on the eastern part of Pennsylvania. I have 3 more questions, Doctor, if you got the time. If you have to go, I understand. Are we good for 3 more?
We're good for 3 more.
Okay. The question that I have is, and I know a lot of people suffer with this. I myself do. I was diagnosed at 25 years old, which is early. I have gout. I'm prone to gout. And I know that is a function of the kidneys. And I know a lot of people, even more so now for some reason, unfortunately, are finding out that they have gout. And that is a lack of production of uric acid or removal from the system by the kidneys. Is that a precursor to kidney disease? Is it related, or are they separate things?
Well, they can be separate. Obviously, we can still see kidney disease in those with gout. It's not one of the first things that I go to and worry about when I see someone with gout. But again, I see them more on the urgent emergent side. I don't, because I'm not family practice. I don't follow people with gout on a routine basis. The family practitioners would definitely be monitoring all the other electrolytes and elements in your blood if you have gout to make sure that there are no other issues that could be causing kidney problems down the road.
Yeah, I think what I was asking, and you probably knew this, but I was more so asking if a person has gout, are they more prone or more susceptible to kidney disease? That's more what I was going at with that question.
It's always a possibility. Yes, right. I would say yes.
Okay. Our next question is something very simple that we hear a lot, and it goes for whether it's weight loss or just overall health, whatever it may be, your skin, anything like that, is water intake. I'm assuming the answer is going to be yes, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Is water intake important to your kidneys?
Yes. You need to maintain hydration because of, again, those vessels having to work harder. So everything kind of trickles down, and if the kidneys have to function harder to maintain more water and they're not able to filter as well, because just like any other filtration system, you need to have something that filters through. So keeping yourself hydrated is always, a good idea. Now, if you have end-stage kidney disease where your kidneys aren't filtering and you are on dialysis, those people are usually on water restrictions because the kidneys aren't filtering. You have to go to a machine and get plugged into a machine to get that done. So you want to catch it, obviously, before you get to that point. We don't want dialysis.
Absolutely.
So keeping the kidneys hydrated, free water is always your best bet. Limiting alcohol and, caffeinated beverages, those kinds of things. I got to have my 2 cups of coffee a day, but, the diuresis that occurs when you drink highly caffeinated products, and a lot of them, can also be damaging because now you're making the kidneys work harder than they really have to. But you want to keep them working with filtration for sure.
And Doctor, one final question, and then I'll let you go. Are there any natural supplements that we can look for in the vitamin aisle of our local supermarket or say Walmart that might help us with preventative maintenance, so to speak?
Supplementation is always a slippery slope. If you're eating a moderate and a normal healthy diet, you should be getting the majority of your nutrients through your diet. Okay. So I'm not a big one for supplements, and believe me, they have a role, especially if your diet is lacking. But a regular multivitamin is never a bad idea to maybe catch some of the things that you just might not quite be hitting the mark on.
Okay.
But I pretty much, I do recommend a multivitamin. I take a multivitamin myself, but I don't get too crazy with a lot of the supplements unless they're indicated and directed by my physician.
We've been talking today with Dr. Nancy Fitch, a physician with MedExpress Urgent Care, part of Optum in the eastern part of Pennsylvania. I want to leave everyone with this. There's a website, OptumKidneyCheck.com. That's OPTUM, kidneycheck.com. You can take a simple survey that can help you figure out if you are one of the 1 in 3 Americans who is at risk of developing kidney disease. Doctor, is there any final words you want to share? Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to?
No, I think the biggest thing is to just have a good relationship with your physician. With the pandemic, we've been pushed a lot of visits to virtual, and they definitely fill a role in our healthcare. But with virtual as well, we're not getting hands-on on our patients, so we're not getting a blood pressure check, which can be a sign that there might be an issue that we want to address before we start having problems down the road. You can't check for swelling, and you can't listen to heart, lungs. So, we're hopefully, now that things are starting to open up a bit, going to get back into our doctor's offices a little bit more frequently and get back to having those routine, physical exams to make sure that everything is still on the up and up and the status quo. So highly recommend just maintaining a good relationship with your family doctor so you can stay healthy. And that goes for all illnesses, not just kidney disease, but all of it.
Dr. Fitch, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about kidney disease, and hopefully we will be talking to you again soon, okay?
Hey, the pleasure's been all mine, Tiny.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.
JR Sport Brief on the Infinity Sports Network.
Am I going to favor them to win the championship this year? The answer is no. That'll be the greatest miracle because this is the New York Jets. And unfortunately, what's most likely is that one day Aaron Rodgers packs his bags and says, I want to leave. The New York Jets don't have a coach, and the New York Jets are going to have to start from scratch and suck for many more years because another Green Bay Packers experiment quarterback screwed him. This is JR of the JR Sport Brief on 92.1 The Go.
Don't be crabby, it's time for Johnny's Seafood Sale. Harvest tasty morsels from the sea like jumbo raw scallops, $13.95 a pound. Sail in and check out what's new, including panko breaded soft shell crab portions, 2 pounds, $32.95. 3-ounce classic crab cakes, Six, 6 for $24.95. Try Phillips Chesapeake Crab Dip, 2 pounds for $16.95. And don't miss the new crab meat combo. Each 1 pound can contains 4 grades of crab meat: jumbo lump, special, and claw. It's a real taste sensation for just $21.95. And of course, Johnny's has shrimp. A 5-pound bag of medium 4150 count raw Gulf shrimp is $19.95. The 2-pound bag just $8.95. Remember, every Friday from 10 to 2, you can try before you buy in Chambersburg. Sweet seafood at Johnny's, where you always find restaurant quality foods at wholesale prices. Route 11 South Chambersburg and Johnny's Express Winchester Avenue in Martinsburg.
Shelters are full across the country, and the Humane Society of Washington County is no exception. Hundreds of animals are in care between the shelter and foster homes. They need your help. Please consider adopting a pet or volunteer. Help walk dogs, wash and fold laundry, distribute food from the pet food bank. Have a garage, warehouse, barn, or other suitable shelter? Adopt a working cat. You can save a life. Adopt a pet from the Humane Society of Washington County, and remember to have your pets spayed or neutered. Learn more ways to help at hswcmd.org.
Hey, Pennsylvania, you've got a big choice to make. Who are you going to send to the Senate?
Bob Casey's Pennsylvania through and through. Scranton-born, PA values.
Dave McCormick's the hedge fund CEO, living in Connecticut for 15 years.
Casey is taking on Mexican drug cartels smuggling fentanyl and voted for the toughest border bill in history.
McCormick opposed that bipartisan border bill and got rich investing in Chinese fentanyl.
Casey is working to restore abortion rights.
McCormick wanted to outlaw abortion with no exception for rape.
Casey wrote the bill to expand Social Security.
McCormick's plan could cut Social Security and your Medicare.
Bob Casey has always fought for you.
Dave McCormick fights only for himself.
Pennsylvania, it's your choice now, and you have a great one with Bob Casey.
Paid for by Win Senate, which is responsible for the content of this ad. WinSenate.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Everybody's athletic journey is different. Some athletes might find themselves injured, and others are looking to get back into their favorite activity. At Meritus Sports Medicine, our expert team will support the unique needs of athletes of all ages and levels, from youth to professional. Conveniently located at the Valley Mall, our new facility boasts leading-edge technology and the compassionate local care everyone deserves. Our expert team will develop individual treatment plans guided by the needs and goals of each athlete. To learn more, visit meritushealth.com/sportsmedicine.
Due to continued growth, Chambersburg Waste Paper is hiring full-time CDL Class A flatbed drivers and Class B roll-off drivers. Drivers are home every night. Chambersburg Waste Paper offers full medical benefits, productivity and safety bonuses, paid time off, and matching 401k. Email your resume to recycle at cwprecycle.com or apply in person at 2047 Loop Road, Chambersburg. CWP, an equal opportunity employer. Drive for the dream.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors, the right choice, winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Awards.
Speaking of winner of the 2024 Best of the Tri-State, we are joined today by Donnie and Miriam Carball, owners of Front Porch Fitness, and you guys just picked up the Best Fitness Center 2024 Best of the Tri-State. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Not only did you win that category, but you were saying you got the most votes. Was that overall?
Yeah, so we got, it was a surprise to us when we walked in. There was a second plaque for us for the most votes in the health category. So our fitness center got more votes than WellSpan or Emeritus, which for us is a win.
Big deal, right?
That is huge.
And I can imagine owning a gym can be a competitive market. So what do you think makes your facility different than some of the others in the area?
I think our biggest difference is community. We are a gym that is all about the community and not about just body image. We stay away from the body image world. We're about getting people fit for life, right? I can't offer you quantity of time in life. We're all going to die on average the same time, but I can offer you a better quality life. I can see you hiking the Appalachian Trail at 80 years old. That's the stuff that we offer. So all fitness levels are welcome. I think that's what makes us a little bit different than everyone else.
What are some of the different classes that you offer?
We have the boot camp classes, which are where we get people basically in the door.
Mm-hmm.
We offer those throughout the day, Monday through Friday, and then we have 2 boot camp classes on Saturdays. But then we also offer small group training We also offer student athlete training with a lot of our different trainers. We have
personal training. So we have one-on-one personal training. We have team training, so we'll bring in full like travel teams, because travel sports is really large in our area. So we'll bring in full teams and train teams through their off season. So yeah, our gym's a little bit different than that. It's all class based. It's all run by a certified personal trainer. I got 14 trainers that I have there that we use, and so you're always in good hands. You're always with a certified personal trainer. So that's what makes us a little bit different. It isn't like a gym where you can just walk in and use equipment like a Gold's Gym or like a Planet Fitness. This is more like, this is all run by trainers, so it's all class based and it's all very well structured.
What do you say to that person who would really like to try boot camp, but they are just so intimidated because they think that they need to have some kind of skill level that maybe they've never worked out a day in their life, and it's intimidating for them? What do you say to that person? What
we tell people all the time is that all fitness levels are welcome in our gym. You'll see in our boot camps, you'll see which is our entry class, you'll see college level athletes training right beside a retiree. And how we do that is because we have certified personal trainers throughout the whole facility, is that we can offer modifications if you're not there yet. So we write our programming for, I like to say, we write for the best and scale for the rest, right? So that retiree is looking at that athlete being like, wow, they're jumping up onto a box, but I can step up. I can step up. So like, and then they can see the goal that they could have. They could see, okay, I want to make it to where I can do that movement. So I need to do this now.
Will you explain the scaling options to somebody before the class starts, so they, so they have an idea of what they're doing? Yeah, the basic rundown of a class, it's an hour long. The beginning of it is the intro from the trainer. They explain the format of the workout for the day, and then they demo all the exercises, and they say, okay, here's the ones where we could have, here's the ones that are more advanced movements, here's the modifications we're going to do for those if you're not ready yet. And then if you're new or something like that, the great thing is this a trainer is going to talk with you, and just to make sure if you have like a shoulder issue or a back issue, that we know how to navigate that. But so it's an hour long, never work out twice, never do the same workout twice. Every day is new, combination of strength and cardio, full body. And if they're unsure, just come in, try a class. The first one's free. Okay. First one's free. They can try it, see what it's like.
Katie loves that word.
That was one of my questions. Is there like a trial period that people can try out? Now, who writes the programming? Do you guys write the programming?
So it depends on the day of the week. So because I mentioned I have like 14 trainers on staff, the ones who have experience in group fitness are the ones writing. So we have assigned, trainer, Coach Laura's writing on Mondays, Coach Aaron's writing on Tuesdays, Coach Donnie writes Wednesdays. That way we get a variety. We get a different perspective. Like, we all have our own biases in everything in life. And so the things that I'll write in there maybe not Aaron writes. So that Aaron likes that, and maybe I don't like that, so they'll get both.
I think that's probably unique, right?
It's
every gym I've ever gone to, it's the same. And not that I don't love the programming, but it is the same person writing the programming, and you can kind of predict what's coming. All right, we're doing butt kicks before we do any kind of running workout. So I like that. It gives a little bit of an edge every day, something a little different.
Yes.
Take us through the name Front Porch Fitness.
Certainly.
How'd that come about?
So that's a great story. So before the pandemic, I worked at a local gym as a lead trainer. And when the lockdown hit for the state, March 16th, 2020, I remember the date, I wanted to keep my clients moving during this lockdown. Like, all right, you're stuck in your house for 2 weeks. That's what it was originally supposed to be. I'm like, I want to keep you moving. So what I did was I went to Facebook, and I started doing Facebook Live workouts on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening at 5:30. Mondays and Wednesdays, I'd post the workout on my page. Here's what you're going to need, like a can of soup or whatever you can find in your house for some weight. Right. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd go live at 5:30 in the evening. Now, where I went live at, the only place that made sense in my house was my front porch. So I was doing these original workouts on my front porch. I was taking them through the advanced movements. My wife was in the background doing the modified version, the modified movement. So people had options. If they weren't ready for what I was doing, they could follow Miriam. And so we had options for people. And one of my clients who I started training, I believe in 2017, she threw up the hashtag Front Porch Fitness on one of the posts. I thought it was funny. We started running with it. We started throwing that hashtag up on all the posts. That way, if we ever wanted to come back to it, it's search that hashtag Front Porch Fitness. We'll have all our stuff. And then ABC 27 picked up news on it, and they did a little feature on it, and then that really started to grow. So when we went to the state at the December of 2020 to file for the state, our business, to launch this, we were like, we have to go with Front Porch Fitness. It's a great story.
So you launched Front Porch Fitness at the end of 2020,
yes.
Still in the pandemic.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, it's wild. The pandemic was horrible for so many reasons, for so many people.
I can imagine gym owners suffered
They did suffer.
much, yeah.
But for our family, it ended up being one of the best things that could have happened.
That's amazing.
It really pivoted our family to it.
Were you monetizing the Facebook, or was that just something
No, it was
that you
free.
were doing?
Free.
Oh.
I was doing it free. And then as the summer went and the lockdown continued, we actually moved off the front porch and then across the street into the park. I live across the street from the park, and I was having 30, 40, 50 people show up every Tuesday and Thursday. Then I started pulling in other trainers. They're all working for me now. We started rotating on Saturday mornings to different parks. We go to Memorial Park or Norlow or Green Township. We started bouncing at Caledonia. Started bouncing around on Saturday mornings. So it started to grow. And this was all free.
Wow.
All free. And that word of mouth and just that started to grow. By the fall, when the weather was changing, I started having a lot of people approach me about personal training. Like, hey, would you take me on as a client? And that's when we decided to all right, let's sit down and really talk about this. See if this is where we're headed. So we felt like that's where God was taking us. So we met with some mentors, some business mentors, some people I've trained in the past who are successful. Had them over and said, hey, do you think we can launch a gym? Do you think we could do this? And they were so encouraging. They were like, with you guys' personality, like if you build it, they're gonna come. So I turned my 2-car garage into a gym. And so I launched with the state, the LLC for Front Porch Fitness, December of 2020. December of 2022, I had my open house at my 10,000 square foot facility where I'm at now. So in 2 years, I went from my front porch to 10,000 square foot.
I think that also really shows how you guys are so community driven.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you were doing these free workouts and how many people were kind of latching onto it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you really had a community of people that needed something during that pandemic that you were providing for free. Where I know gyms were still, I mean, I was part of a gym at that time, shutting down and still charging a membership, but they were posting those workouts, but you were still paying, for what? At this point, you're doing everything at your home. So that's kind of amazing. Now you do coaching and personal training at Front Porch. Miriam, do you do any kind of coaching there as well?
I help out with the low impact class sometimes. They need somebody to cover that because that stuff is already written and all that. But I do all the managerial stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, she's our gym manager.
You keep it running.
She keeps it running.
That's my jam. I'm not the woo.
Do you take us through the pricing structure that you have? Is it one membership gets you just, or are there levels? How does that work?
Yeah, so the entry into our gym is really with boot camps. So boot camps is what we have 4 to 5 classes a day, 2 on Saturday morning. This is your full body, never do a same workout twice, and that is $100 a month for unlimited classes.
Oh,
so you can come as much as you want for $100. Well, I mean, and I think part of the growth of mine is of the gym is yes, community, but also because I know where I'm from. I'm from Franklin County. Franklin County is a word of mouth town. You treat people right. You have fair pricing. Your
good product.
Word of mouth. Like I haven't spent a dime on marketing yet. It's all been social media, and it's not just the social media. What Franklin County is a word of mouth town. You need a plumber. You ask your buddy.
Right.
You ask your family. You need a gym. You ask around. So I think because we've built that relationship with the community, that people are like, oh yeah, that gym out there, that's a good gym.
And what I love about your gym as well is it's so hard to go to a gym that's, $10, $20 a month where you don't have the classes and try to figure out what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I know there's an elliptical, I know there's a treadmill, I know how to use those things, but in regards to actually putting together a full body workout, knowing what weights to use, how to properly do the motions, I mean, that's like priceless in my mind because, and I think that when you're doing, I'm a big fan of group workouts. I love it way more than any kind of individual workout. But it's nice to learn from other people. Even if the coach is busy, you can turn and ask somebody next to you, hey, what weight are you using? Or can you show me how to do that? It just builds such a nice camaraderie and nice feeling amongst everybody.
And Katie was like that in school too. I say, did you get number 3? Is it A?
In our last minute that we have here, guys, tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you. If somebody's listening or watching and they're thinking, I really want to get a jump start before the new year, how would they find you?
Yeah. The first place is social media. We are on Facebook, Front Porch Fitness. We are on Instagram, Front Porch Fitness. You search both those, you'll find us on both of those, and you can send us direct messages there. My email is frontporchfitness@gmail.com. And then you can always stop in. We're located right behind Dick's Sporting Goods on Route 30 in Chambersburg. Everyone knows where that's at. Go behind the building. We're there. You can always pop in. We're there. I pretty much live there. So I'm usually there. So that's how you can get a hold of us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today on Let's Talk Tri-State.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports, and it's all powered by Legends Bar in Chambersburg. You can satisfy your sports fix at Legends Bar with game day specials and cold brews, and you can find them on Hollywell Avenue in Chambersburg.
The JR Sport Brief on the Infinity Sports Network.
Am I going to favor them to win the championship this year? The answer is no. That'll be the greatest miracle because this is the New York Jets. And unfortunately, what's most likely is that one day Aaron Rodgers packs his bags and says, I want to leave. The New York Jets don't have a coach, and the New York Jets are going to have to start from scratch and suck for many more years because another Green Bay Packers experiment quarterback screwed them. This is JR of the JR Sport Brief on 92.1 The Go.
Come down Fast Lane, Hagerstown or Martinsburg. Come down Fast Lane. Oh, yeah. At either location, we've got great deals. And Fast Lane car sales can finance your wheels. Lots of late models and low mileage too. Come on. Come down Fast Lane. On the lot or online. Come down Fast Lane.
You can't spell autumn without 2 A's.
Well, there's only one A in autumn.
Well, there's no fun in autumn without 2A Arms, the original 2A in Chambersburg. If you are headed to the woods for archery or rifle seasons, 2A has everything you need, including youth hunting rifles from top names, and they can special order archery items. Your successful hunt begins at 2A Arms, 700 West Loudon Street, Chambersburg. Online at 2ARmsLLC.com. 2A in PA. Firearms and freedom.
It's football season, and there's no better place to catch the game than Legends Bar in Chambersburg, the hottest spot in town. Located on Hollywell Avenue, they've got everything you need to make game day unforgettable. With ice-cold beer, delicious bites, and all major sporting events streamed live, you're covered. And the best part, also food and drink specials like burgers and draft specials on Mondays, or empanadas and margarita specials on Tuesdays. Plus, enjoy free pool tables every Wednesday and Sunday. So come on down to Legends Bar, the hottest bar in Chambersburg.
Pennsylvania Voter Information Hotline. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm calling about these negative ads.
Which ones are you referring to?
The one accusing Bob Casey of wanting to make schools let men play in women's sports?
That's been fact-checked. It's not true. Bob Casey is against men playing in women's sports.
And the ad also says he wants to raise taxes on Social Security.
Well, Casey is chairman of the Senate Aging Committee. Actually, he's on record for lowering taxes on Social Security.
Boy, they really twist things, don't they? Well, what about McCormick on Social Security?
Well, McCormick has promised a large tax break for the top 1%. And our research shows you'd have to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for nursing homes to pay for it.
I guess I'm not voting for the guy from Connecticut.
That's up to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Have a good day.
I'm Bob Casey, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Bob Casey for Senate.
When you and your loved one need extra support for a very serious illness, there's just one call to make. To Hospice of Washington County.
They provided a team of professionals to meet our loved ones and our families' needs.
They allowed me to be my mother's daughter again and to spend special time with her. I knew I had help just a phone call away.
They were there in our home with help and medical equipment exactly when we needed them.
When your loved one needs extra support for a serious illness, there's just one call to make. To Hospice of Washington County. Hospice care is a fully covered Medicare and Medicaid benefit, and no one is ever turned away for an inability to pay. Hospice of Washington County cares for the whole family. Call 301-791-6360. That's 301-791-6360. Or visit hospiceofwc.org.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Those burn bans, they remain in effect throughout the region. Crews from several departments battled woodland and brush locations in Franklin County over the weekend. Thankfully, no home evacuations were needed. No structures have been threatened, but there were quite a few of those brush fires and woodland fires. The dry conditions and low humidity are thought to blame, fire officials said, urging caution. Fines will be imposed for ignoring local burn bans, and we did talk about this last week. Also, keep in mind if you are a smoker, to dispose of the butts properly and not just out the window. You know, that's how, unfortunately, some of these things start. So just be responsible.
It amazes me that people still do that. Still don't dispose of them properly. I mean,
it's A, littering, and B, that's how a lot of fires start.
You would think it would be, look, if you want to smoke, it's your right to do that, but you would think that after all this time, all this education is, okay, well, I'm just not going to, even if there were not a burn ban in effect, or we weren't at high risk of these burns or red flag warnings, as they call them, why would, I still don't understand why you would do it.
Just keep some kind of can or bottle of water or something in there that you can just throw them in and then dispose of properly.
Well, think about it this way. If it were the middle of summer, as dry as we just had one, and you were standing on your back porch smoking,
would you just throw it in the back?
Would you throw it in your yard? No. Why? Because you'd be afraid a fire would start. Well,
it's the same.
Your yard's not much different than what's on the side of the road.
Right. You know, it's so funny. I know you're getting ready to talk about the Museum of Fine Arts, and we've been talking about them a lot lately.
Yeah, we have. The Fine Arts Museum of Washington County seeking for entries for its 2025 Cumberland Valley Photographers Exhibition. Entries are accepted now through the 29th of this month at 3 p.m. That's very specific. Entries can be submitted through their online portal. You can find that at client.smarterentry.com/WCMFA. That's Washington County Museum of Fine Arts. And if you visit their website, you'll see all these links.
Maybe just Google that one.
Yes. The exhibition will be on display April 5th through July 27th. It's an annual tradition dating back to the 1930s. It's the Cumberland Valley Photographers Exhibition. It showcases and celebrates and supports photographers of the Cumberland Valley region. Photographers from Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia may enter the competition. A first-place jurors award will be named and will receive $1,000 in cash. All photographs must have been completed in the last 2 years. I wonder how they prove that. That's interesting.
Maybe there's some kind of mark on the photo.
Like a date stamp, maybe?
Maybe some kind of mark that proves it.
Well, if you are a photographer, you can submit up to 4 pieces.
I always am blown away by people who could do photography, who just have that ability to capture a moment or know how to make it look better. That is not something I excel at. However, on my phone, if you go to portrait mode and do second bubble, that produces some nice photos. That's as far as I've gotten with my photography skills.
It can, and there are some times where people will post something on Facebook or social media, and especially Instagram. I know it's notorious for this, and it will obviously fool me. I'm sure there are several photographers that I know that you couldn't fool them, but me, if they said a photographer took that, I probably would believe it.
It's kind of unbelievable what your phones can do in that capacity, but this is pretty cool, and I love that we're again talking about the Museum of Fine Arts. I just feel like we've been shining a lot of light on them recently, which is great.
What I would love is to be able to see some of the photos from the 30s that they got when this first started. That'd be fun to look back through those.
We'll see what we can find.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look at sports with Andy.
The college football action was hot over the weekend, and kicking it all off on Friday was number 15 ranked Boise State taking on San Diego State. Boise State ended up winning against San Diego State 56-24. Number 1 ranked Oregon took on Michigan, beating them 38-17, while number 2 ranked Georgia beat Florida 34-20. The big game of the weekend between number 4 Ohio State and number 3 Penn State saw Ohio State come out the winner 20-13 in Happy Valley, getting them a big win on the season. And number 5 Miami beat Duke 53-31. Also on Saturday, the number 7 Tennessee Volunteers took down the Kentucky Wildcats 28-18, and the South Carolina Gamecocks beat number 10 Texas A&M 44-20. Number 11 Iowa State fell to unranked Texas Tech 23-22 in a close one. And number 11 Clemson also fell to Louisville, also unranked 33-21. Number 13 Indiana beat Michigan State 47-10. And number 17 Kansas State fell to unranked Houston 24-19. Number 20 SMU got the victory over number 18 ranked Pittsburgh 48-25. And number 19 Ole Miss beat Arkansas 63-31. Number 21 Army beat Air Force 20-3. And number 24 Illinois fell to Minnesota 25-17. The Philadelphia 76ers fell to the Grizzlies on Saturday night 124-107. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 27 points with 6 rebounds and 3 steals, while Tyrese Maxey had 23 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. The Washington Wizards were defeated by the Miami Heat 118-98 on Saturday. Bam Adebayo had 32 points with 14 rebounds, recording a double-double on the night for him, while Coulibaly had 22 points and 8 rebounds for the Washington Wizards. Last night in NBA action, the Detroit Pistons beat the Brooklyn Nets 106-92. The Atlanta Hawks took down the New Orleans Pelicans 126-111. And the Orlando Magic fell to the Dallas Mavericks 108-85. Franz Wagner had 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on the night for the Magic, while Luka Doncic had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for the Mavericks. Here are your games to watch tonight for the NBA. The undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers will take on the tough Milwaukee Bucks, even though the Bucks are 1-5. Giannis Antetokounmpo could lead his team to another victory over an undefeated Cavs team led by Donovan Mitchell. That game starts at 7 o'clock. Your Washington Wizards will take on the Golden State Warriors. That game starts at 7:15. LeBron James and his son Bronny James of the Los Angeles Lakers will take on the Detroit Pistons at 7:30. The Boston Celtics will go up against the Atlanta Hawks. Can Jason Tatum beat Trae Young's Atlanta Hawks tonight? That game's at 7:45. And the Ja Morant-led Grizzlies will take on the Brooklyn Nets at 8 o'clock. The Philadelphia 76ers have a late game tonight against the Phoenix Suns. Tyrese Maxey leads this team in points per game with 29.8, while Devin Booker leads in points for the Suns on the team with 26.7. That game starts at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, and also in late action for the NBA are the San Antonio Spurs going up against the Los Angeles Clippers. Victor Wembanyama has 18 points per game with 9.8 rebounds per game, as James Harden is leading the Clippers in scoring with 21.8 points per game and 8.8 rebounds per game. 2 games to watch tonight in the NHL. The Los Angeles Kings take on the Nashville Predators, and the New Jersey Devils will battle the Edmonton Oilers.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com.
Need to get airborne to finish your current project? Franklin Equipment Rental can help. Rent forklifts, scissor lifts, extended reach forklifts, telescopic booms, and more. With 25 years experience, they know what you need. Take advantage of their weekend special and get 2.5 days work for the price of 1. Or rent by the day, week, or month. Open Monday through Friday, 3110 Philadelphia Avenue, Chambersburg. Online at franklinequipmentrental.com. Their job is to make your job easier.
Maggie and